Welcome to Disability Accommodations, a guide for students in Minnesota adult education. This guide is produced by Literacy Minnesota in partnership with PANDA, Minnesota Adult Education, Physical and Non-Apparent Disability Assistance. Once again, welcome. This guide talks about what is a disability? What are accommodations? How do I get accommodations? And where can I go for help? The goal of this guide is to help you understand disability accommodations and to help you advocate for yourself if you need accommodations. There are different rules about accommodations for the GED and HiSET tests. To learn about accommodations for these tests, visit the GED website, HiSET website, or PANDA's website. What is a disability? A disability changes how you do some things, like seeing, hearing, eating, sleeping, learning, reading, working, walking, or breathing. A disability makes it harder to do one or more of these things. Or a disability makes it impossible to do one or more of these things. The Americans with Disabilities Act is a law protecting people with disabilities. We call this law the ADA. The ADA protects us at work, in public places, and in adult education. Some examples of people the ADA can protect are people who are deaf or hard of hearing, people who are blind or have low vision, people who use wheelchairs or canes, people who have cancer, diabetes, or HIV, people who have dyslexia, dysgraphia, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, known as ADHD, and people who have depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder, known as PTSD. You can learn more about the ADA in A Self-Advocate's Guide to the Americans with Disabilities Act by the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. What are accommodations? Accommodations are changes that make things easier for people with disabilities. Accommodations help people with disabilities get the same education as everyone else. Some examples of accommodations are extra time on assignments or tests, large print materials, amplifiers, which make speech louder, and text-to-speech, which reads text out loud. You can find more examples on these websites. Common Classroom Accommodations by Understood, and A to Z of Disabilities and Accommodations by the Job Accommodation Network. What are reasonable accommodations? There are many kinds of accommodations. You can't get every accommodation in every situation. Accommodations must be reasonable. Reasonable means that your school has the time and money to do it and can do it without changing what class is like for the teacher and all the other students too much. For example, one-on-one lessons with a teacher are not a reasonable accommodation in adult education classes. One-on-one lessons are too much change. They are too different from what classes are usually like. Right to accommodations. The ADA gives people with disabilities a legal right to reasonable accommodations in many places, like at work, at adult education programs, and at other schools, like technical colleges and universities. To have a legal right to accommodations in adult education, you need documentation. You can learn about documentation in the next section of this video. What is documentation? Documentation is proof that you have a disability and need accommodations. You usually need documentation to get accommodations. One kind of documentation is a letter from your doctor, psychiatrist, or therapist. The letter says what kind of disability you have, how your disability affects you, and what kind of accommodations you need. To get documentation, tell your doctor about problems at school. Talk to your doctor about what accommodations can help. And ask your doctor to write a letter to your school. Another kind of documentation is an IEP or 504 plan. IEPs and 504 plans are from American K-12 schools. You might have one if you got accommodations in an American elementary, middle, or high school. Your adult education program can look at your old IEP or 504 plan to see what accommodations you got before. This might be enough to get accommodations again. If you can't get documentation, don't worry. There's more information about what to do in the section of this video called "What if I can't get documentation?" How do I ask for accommodations? Tell someone at school that you want to ask for accommodations. You can tell your teacher or someone else. Bring your documentation with you. You might have to give some details about your disability. If you don't say what your disability is and how it affects you, your school doesn't have to give accommodations. Your school has to keep your disability confidential. Confidential means that your school can't tell other people who don't need to know. After you get accommodations, use them. If you don't use them, your school doesn't have to keep giving them. To ask for accommodations, you can say, my disability makes it hard for me to. I need accommodations to help me. The accommodations I'm requesting are, for example, my disability is ADHD. My disability makes it hard for me to remember instructions. I need accommodations to help me follow instructions. The accommodations I'm requesting are written instructions for classroom activities. If your school thinks an accommodation isn't reasonable, it might offer a different one instead. If you think the accommodation your school offers won't work, you can say, that won't work because my documentation says that my disability. It's important that my accommodations help. For example, that won't work because I would still have to remember verbal instructions for a long time. My documentation says that my disability makes it hard for me to remember what I hear. It's important that my accommodations help me remember instructions. What if I can't get documentation? If you can't get documentation, there are still many things your school can do to help. You don't need documentation for small changes if your teacher agrees. If you can't get documentation, think about what the problem is. What isn't working for you? Think about what changes can help with the problem. What do you need so you can learn? And talk to your teacher. Your teacher will also have ideas about how to help. For example, if it is too hard to see the board or the textbook, sit at the front of the room, wear reading glasses, or use a magnifier. If it is too noisy to focus, take a break and go somewhere quiet. Wear earplugs or headphones. For more ideas about how to help, you and your teacher can contact Panda. Their phone number is 763-504-4095, and their email is panda@rdale.org. Helpful contact information. For help finding a school, contact the Adult Literacy Hotline. Their phone number is 800-222-1990. If an adult education program has questions about disabilities and accommodations, contact Panda. Their phone number is 763-504-4095. For other kinds of help for people with disabilities, contact Disability Hub. Their phone number is 866-333-2466. For questions about your legal rights, contact the Minnesota Disability Law Center. Their phone number is 800-292-4150. Thank you for watching this video.